That's great for the community and shit. Great.
Show must go on. Cincinnati, man, up on. Jules made another flame for me to cook on. Brainstorms, close this shit too strong. I chop it up with the chop shop. Top notch with the king flow, the hot shot. Cops watching, listen to the real. Jumping like hopscotch. Nobody harder than no, fake not. Not only citywide, but nationwide. Superlative, keep it locked like the picture guys. Put the airways, we talk about it. Brand new like the chest plates, let's be about it.
Because now we getting into the religion part. Now, this motivation, I'm with that. But reconnecting with God, I don't want that on the show. Because it don't fit my brain. And I don't want to come across like I'm teaching people to move.
What's the word, Nick? Let them know the show. One time where my people at. T-N-I where my people at.
Good morning, good people. Welcome back. Please take a second to like and in particular share today's show. When you share the show, more people see it. Good morning to you. On today's show, I want to talk about numerous things. Shut up and dribble. Why rape victims hesitate to come forward. The first black female to be a member of SCOTUS, the Supreme Court of the United States. And a very tragic story about a 3-year-old who was left in the back of a hot car, and the rest, well, let's just say it's very, very tragic, very, very tragic circumstances. But I want to talk about all of that and perhaps more this morning, but that's more than enough. Let's start with shut up and dribble. Shut up and dribble is being reported, and we're going to talk a little bit about sports, but really the issue is bigger than that. But it's being reported that Kevin Durant is leaving the Brooklyn Nets. Now, why am I talking about this? Good morning to you. Hold on one second here. Let me know how we're looking and how we sound. Very, very important. I want to look and sound. Just give me a thumbs up if we're looking and sounding good. Let me know if we're looking and sounding good. Hey, good morning, everybody. Just let me know if we're looking and sounding good this morning. All right, make sure that we are sounding good. Let me know. Let me see here. I'm going to take that off. Okay. I think I like that a little bit better. Good morning to you. Shut up and dribble. I want to talk about Kevin Durant. All good, Regina. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I want to talk about Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is one of the, as they would say, better players in the entire NBA. That's the National Basketball Association. We talking basketball. I like that basketball. And he was a part of what people called and considered a super team at the beginning. But I look like a radio mic. Okay. Great. That's what I was thinking, because I kind of popped in for a second and I kind of heard that myself. So let me see what I can do on my end to deal with that. And some security protocols, and it may be filtering some of the data. So just let me know if it doesn't sound better. Okay, I appreciate you for telling me that. You can always tell the people that care about you, because they tell you when you're looking wrong, and I appreciate it. Or you're sounding wrong, I appreciate it. But let me get back to this. So Kevin Durant was a part of a super team. It was himself, Kyrie Irving, and also James Harden. And things didn't end too well. James Harden ended up leaving the team, and now Kevin Durant, this is blockbuster for the NBA, is requesting a trade. And most of the experts that I've read are saying that it comes down. Hey, good morning to you, Ashley. They're saying that it comes down to Kyrie Irving, who, as we know, maybe you don't know, one of the better offensive players in the league. But he made a lot of news this past NBA season because he refused to take the vaccine. I remember when the news hit, and because he refused to take the vaccine, he couldn't even play any home games. He was not with the team. And I remember we did a show, and the title of the show was something roughly, Shut Up and Dribble. Hey, good morning, Holly. Shut Up and Dribble. And the point I was trying to make is that, yes, it is a Friday. The point I was trying to make is that when you are part of a team, you gotta think about the team. You know what I'm saying? Hey, good morning to you. It's bigger than you. It's bigger than you. You got to think about the team. And so I did a show titled it Shut Up and Dribble. And it was a spinoff of, something that somebody told LeBron James. He was talking about Tamir Rice, I believe it was, a young boy that was tragically killed up in Cleveland. And a Fox News commenter said, you know what, LeBron, just shut up and dribble. So I just took it and spent it for my own uses, right? But I meant what I said. I was like, my advice for Kyrie and anybody in Kyrie's position was shut up and dribble. You're a basketball player. You got this team. You got these cats coming from different parts of the states, different teams to work with you. They took the vaccine. Take the damn vaccine. You got a higher purpose. Same thing happened with Andrew Wiggins. It was reported that Andrew Wiggins was COVID shot. I'm COVID, he was vaccine shot. I'm vaccine shot. A lot of people are. I get it. He didn't want to take the vaccine, but he ended up breaking down and taking the vaccine for one reason and one reason only: team. He was a part of something larger. And you look at what happened. He was instrumental in helping the Golden State Warriors win a championship. That's their goal. Their goal is championships and big checks. He already getting the big checks. Now he got a championship. Kyrie Irving didn't do that. And look at what happened. Now the whole team has fell apart. James Harden leaves, and I don't blame him. They had a disastrous first round exit. Didn't win a game. They got swept out of the playoffs because they ain't had no team chemistry. And a lot of it goes back to Kyrie Irving's refusal to get that vaccine. So I'll reiterate what I said before. Shut up and dribble. You a basketball player. We don't want to hear what you think about the COVID vaccine. Man, listen, you owe a responsibility to your teammates. You got big time free agents that's coming from different parts of the NBA to play with you. They all take the vaccine, and you over here talking about you ain't gonna take the vaccine? What the hell? It's ridiculous. And look at what happened. Whole team is falling apart. Hey, what's up, Chris? The whole team is falling apart now. There is no team, it looks like, anymore. This talks about that team being broken up and pieces going in different places. We'll see what happens, man. But it goes back to what I thought initially. Shut up and dribble, Kyrie. You're not a spokesperson for people that are COVID or vaccine shy. You are a NBA basketball player. Go play basketball with your teammates, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been on teams before where I felt like everybody was like rowing in the right direction. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. When you get a whole bunch of individuals and y'all trying to work together for a collective greater good or a collective goal, man, it's few things better than that. And I've been on team where you had people that was all about themselves. It'll destroy the team. You won't be as productive. It will not work. You know what I'm saying? You get 5, 6, 7 individuals, or we'll say the NBA, you get 5 individuals that's working together. They got a shared goal. They're sacrificing. They're going to go much further than the other team that only has 4 or 3 people out of 5 that has that kind of mindset. It just ain't going to work. It's just not going to work. Shut up and dribble, Kyrie. Shut up and dribble. Just get back out there, crossover cats, play with Durant. This is the point I made. Play with Durant, do what you got to do. He didn't do that, and now it looks like it's all over. There's a lesson in that. The lesson is sometimes you got to shut up and dribble, especially if you're a part of a team. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you're part of a team. You're part of a team, and y'all got a greater goal. It's bigger than you. A lot of people struggle with that. It is what it is. Good morning to you, 513-873-7134. Brandy writes, happy Friday. What up, Brandy? Good morning to you. Ashley writes, good morning, Nathan Choppers. Happy Friday. Good morning to you, Ashley. Good to see everybody. Nat writes, many baseball players did the same thing. The difference between that and is that baseball, you're right. But I think the smaller the number of the people on the field of play, the more significant the role of those individuals are. So I'm not saying that you can't have somebody on a baseball team. I think it was 9 people on the field at any particular time. Yeah, obviously they play a role. And I think you're probably right. It's just not getting as well publicized. But this is, so that's why we're talking about it. Shut up and dribble, Kyrie. I told you. Shut your mouth and dribble that ball. We don't want to hear all that dumb shit. Your teammates don't want to hear all that shit. They don't want to hear that. They all took. So I'm in the locker room. I took the vaccine, even though I was hesitant because I want to be present for the team. And this mofo we're talking about some dumb shit. You're gonna destroy the team, and that's what happened. Good morning to you. What's up, everybody? What's up, Denise? Good morning to you. While rape victims hesitate to come forward. Oh my God, man. I mean, a few things surprise me. I'm rarely surprised. Matter of fact, I learned a very valuable lesson within the last 24 hours. I learned such a valuable lesson. Sometimes you need to see things and things around you need to happen for you to be reminded of what's really going on in this world. And I'm just so grateful. I got a chance to learn that lesson. All you got to do is just be observant and watch. You ain't got to say a word. I'm just so thankful for the universe for these lessons and these blessings. Appreciate it. But let's talk about R. Kelly for a second, man, because I spent the better part of yesterday responding to people on my Facebook post, and it's very interesting when you introduce a competing idea into some human beings' brains. Like if you turn into this show to hear what you want to hear, you're going to be disappointed. You're going to be disappointed because I don't know what you think. All I know is what I think. And I go hard in the paint with it. But it's very interesting when you introduce different ideas. And I was reminded yesterday of just why rape victims hesitate to come forward. And one of the reasons why rape victims hesitate to come forward, I believe, is because number one, people won't believe them. And then number two, or maybe it's number one, maybe it's co-number ones, people are going to blame them. Like, why was you in his hotel? He was married. You got what you wanted. Well, why you let him get to second base? Well, if you let a man get to second base, he won third base and fourth base. So that it's amazing to me. And I'm talking about this R. Kelly thing. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it, but it says something about the mentality of people. And then what will happen is, and this has happened many times before, we've had rape victims or sexual assault victims who will come forward, but it's many years afterward. And what do some people say, y'all? What do some people say? They say, well, Why you wait so long to come forward? If it was really true, you would have came forward a long time ago. That's what people say. That's the reason why rape victims don't come forward, men and women, especially men. You know, we got very little tolerance for a man saying he was raped by another man or a woman. You know, there's some sexually aggressive women out there that will cross the line with you. They'll cross that line like it's nothing. And some of these women think because they're women, they can get away with it. They think it's okay. Like there's women out there that do things to men that cross the line, but most men have been socialized to never say anything about it. They'll never say anything about it. Like I said, I had a partner who was sexually harassed by his boss. He was working in like a after school summer camp program, and his boss thought he was attractive. He wasn't feeling her. So she made it hard on him. He ended up leaving the job. He never filed a lawsuit. He didn't even have a press conference. He didn't do none of that. I've had jobs where I've had females push up on me, and I'm like, I'm cool. And they let it be known. Like, that's why you here. I'm like, what? Yeah, like women do shit to men that if men do, your goose would be cooked all the time, every day, all day. But the reason why rape victims hesitate to come forward, if you want to know why, go back into my timeline and read some of those comments, man. It's amazing to me. I think what it becomes is it's not even really about R. Kelly. It's about, you can't tell me what to do. I can do what I want to do. Okay, sure you can. I had women, black women, like R. Kelly targeted and victimized black girls. And then there's black women on my timeline arguing with me when I say, and I stand by this, any man, any grown man that still run around here listening and bumping R. Kelly is suspect. And if that's you, so be it. It is what it is. This black female, she was like, what you mean by suspect? So I told her. And when I told her, all she said was okay, like he got a point. What I mean by suspect is they're suspect in how they view and value women. You're not going to tell me that you value women, but yet you all proud, bumping your chest and you love R. Kelly. You ain't going to tell me that. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe it one bit. People on my timeline talking about, well, what about America? America's been raping it. I'm like, what is you talking about, man? Somebody posted something that D.L. Hughley had said a long time ago when he was on CNN. Well, America raped and did all these kind of things, and we still stand for the Star Spangled Banner. I'm going to keep listening to R. Kelly. One has nothing to do with the other. By that logic, then nobody should be held accountable for anything they do. If that's the logic, makes no sense whatsoever. But this is the reason why rape victims and sexual assault victims hesitate to come forward. Just go back to my timeline and look at some of those comments. Now, there was a lot of people that got common sense. They know your boy was telling the truth. They're like, yep, amen. Props to those individuals, man. We need good people out here. But I don't care about no song. There's no song, just like there's no food that I care much about. I don't care about no songs like that. It's just a song. There's no artist, no song. It's just purely entertainment, something to listen to. And these days, there is so much music that's in your fingertips. It means nothing to me. It means nothing to me whatsoever. I'm going to say this again. Any man, and this goes for one man too, any man or woman, grown persons run around here and you know full well what this man did. Talking about something. I'm going to keep stepping in the name of love. They suspect. They suspect in how they view women, how they view and value women. Period, point blank. It ain't for debate. It is what it is. If I'm talking about you, I'm talking about you. It is what it is. What you turn in for? I'm gonna give it to you real. That's my real view on it. Simple as that. But that's the reason why rape victims don't come forward. And then when you have a rape victim or a sexual assault victim that comes forward after many years, the first thing these people are gonna say is, why it takes so long? Why didn't you say something? If that was me, I woulda, you shoulda. Telling you, that's a very, very, very private thing. It's a very private, very intimate, very emotional. It's traumatic. And And a lot of rape victims don't want to come forward, and sexual assault victims don't want to come forward, because I would imagine that you come forward, you tell the world your truth that this person did this to you, and then maybe even people in your own family looking at you like, that ain't no big deal. Like D.L. Hughley did with his daughter. And that's what kids do. Huh? And they get re-traumatized all over again. They get re-traumatized all over again. It's sad. It's sad. Either you rap with the victims or you stand with the rapists. Simple as that. People's kind of like, what about Jerry? What about Elvis? Elvis? We're talking about Elvis? What's Elvis got to do with the conversation all of a sudden? But people think they really got a point. It's just amazing to me. It really is. Good morning to you. 513-873-7134. If you'd like to share your thoughts this morning. I didn't plan on talking with him today, but I read an article, and Steve Gooden was on Cincinnati.com. They asked him his opinion about the P.G. Sittenfeld trial. I'll try to catch up with him next week near the end of the trial. I think it's going to end on Wednesday. But he told the folks at the Soul Cincinnati podcast that he believes that P.G. Sittenfeld will be found guilty. And I'm not in the courtroom, so it's hard for me to say. But I can't, from where I'm sitting, my vantage point, I don't have anything to disagree with that. I can't. And that P.G. Sittenfeld case is just, it comes up with a lot of questions. It's a lot of question marks surrounding that. But we shall see. We shall see. Good morning to you. 513-873-7134 if you want to share thoughts this morning. So 2 things we talked about already. Shut up and dribble. Sometimes you got to shut your gosh darn mouth and dribble. And Kyrie Irving didn't do that, and he destroyed the whole team. So where was all those people when I told the brother to shut up the dribble, to get out there and ball? People was in the chop shop. Oh, what you mean? He got it right. It ain't about the rights. You're on a team, bro. You signed up to win a championship. That's what it's all about. Should you have a platform to talk about this, that, and the other? Sure. But your job is to play. And he didn't do that. And see, some people you can do that with. Some people you can, mess them around or whatever. They'll just take it. And then some people that's got options, they out the door. Kevin Durant's out the door. James Harden left already. I can't say that I didn't see it coming. I can't say that I didn't see this coming. And why rape victims hesitate to come forward. I'm not surprised by it because I've been doing this long enough. I've seen it all, the opinions. I know where people are coming from these days. They're coming from all different places. But it's quite sad. It's quite sad, actually. Like I said, any man or woman is suspect. You suspect in how you view and value women. I'm not talking about your sexuality. I'm talking about how you view and value women. That's what it all comes down to. That question about that statement about R. Kelly that I put out there, it was nothing more than a test about how people view and value women. That's what it was all about. It ain't about music. It ain't about racism. It's about how you view and value women, period. Simple as that. Holly writes, I agree with you. Women and children have very little value, especially Black women and children. So the same phenomenon that we criticize law enforcement about, Black people do it in our community. So what am I talking about? Well, everybody knows that the news and law enforcement, they seem to investigate differently, react differently when it's a Black woman that's missing, when it's a little Black girl that's missing, right? There's people out there that started whole nonprofits that's dedicated to raising awareness about missing Black women because, in their opinion, law enforcement and the media is not doing their job. And the reason why, I think, is because they don't value Black women and Black children who are missing the same way as the others. But the same phenomenon is true within our own community. It's the same phenomenon. It's the same thing. It's no different. That's why R. Kelly was able to get away with what he was doing for so long, because he was brutalizing Black girls. If he had been doing that with some white girls, they would have got his ass a long time ago. Tell me I'm wrong. There's little black girls, black women. Why? They got what they deserve, right? Oh, it's the parents' fault, right? Right? It's everybody's fault. If Bill Cosby had only abused just black women, he probably would have got away with it a bit longer. It was a white woman that led to his conviction. Of course, it was overturned. It was a white woman. Yes. This country just don't value black women and black girls the same way as they do the others. You know it, and I know it. And this question about R. Kelly and should you support his music, that's really at the heart of it. It ain't about people are trying to tell you like, oh, I can separate from the artist. Huh? No, you can't. I can separate the music from the artist. That's BS. That's all that is. That's just some smoke screen that people are throwing up because that's the last place to retreat. I can separate the music from the man. Well, you're better than me, ma'am, sir. I can't separate the music from the man. I don't watch Cosby. It's just some stuff I just don't do. You know, people's on my page like, you don't watch Cosby? They just don't know what they're talking. They must not listen to the show on a regular basis. No, I don't rock with Bill Cosby. Why would I want to watch that trash? No, I don't. It's too much stuff. I got Netflix. I can watch anything I want to watch. It's all kind of shows. I don't have to spend my time watching that. I can watch Obi-Wan Kenobi. I don't have to watch that. You know what I'm saying? Squid Game 2 coming back. Season 2's coming. I don't have to watch that crap. But people seem like man, I just can't get through the day without listening to the Chocolate Factory. Okay. Okay. Holly writes, Nate, your listeners mention Elvis because he too had sex with underage girls. His wife was only 14 when he started dating her. Y'all know why they did, but it's irrelevant. I don't care about. This is not about Elvis. This is about R. Kelly, Holly. Hey, good to see you, Holly. Yeah, I like this. She was on Edna's show. It's good to see you. Edna is doing an incredible job. Incredible job. I love working with her. I love it. We got more coming for you real soon. Love it. She's doing an excellent job on Sunday morning, giving people some substance every single morning. She had a great show lined up this Sunday as well. And Holly was one of her recent guests. And well, damn, Holly, I mean, you know all about this, unfortunately. You know, this is part of Holly's work and what she brings to our community. So, but I ain't with it. I don't listen to Elvis either. When I was a kid, I didn't know who Elvis was. As I got older, I was like, wait a minute, why was they putting Elvis on my TV screen? I don't rock with no Christopher Columbus. I don't rock with none of them. I ain't rocking with none of them. None of them get air from me. Zero. But I know why they brought it up, but it's irrelevant to the point. You know, I'm talking about R. Kelly, somebody else talking about Elvis. It don't matter. I'm asking you about this man in particular. All the other stuff don't matter. Everything else is just a smokescreen. So, you know, our country doesn't really value women. And it especially don't value black women and black girls, especially. And I'm talking about even in our community. It's just not valued. You know what I'm saying? It's just not valued. Now, again, I also admit that everybody's different. You know, this is what's hitting me. You know, this is where I draw a line in the sand. Somebody else might draw a line in the sand somewhere else, to each their own. But if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. That's how I look at it. But that's just me. Let me get off my soapbox. Nat writes, Elvis was a hero to most. Yeah. But he never meant ish to me. I felt them, man. I felt Public Enemy. I felt Chuck D when he uttered that line. He was a hero to most, but not at all. Somebody's asking me, have I heard about this shooting up in Akron where 8 officers fired 90 plus rounds during the confrontation? And I am aware of it. And 90 rounds from 8 officers. The person they shot, his name is Jalen Walker, suffered more than 60 wounds, according to the autopsy. 60 wounds. And now the city of Akron is preparing for backlash. And apparently it was a chase. And when the chase ended, they just riddled him with bullets. 90 rounds. And 90 rounds. So to me, that seems excessive. I don't know about you, but like not even hearing anything else about the scenario, that seems a bit excessive, doesn't it? 90 rounds? I mean, what was he, a zombie? Was he the undead? 90 rounds. Was the man involved, the brother, was he a black man? Anybody know? I am aware of the story. I did read it this morning. 90 rounds. He got hit with more than 60 shots, like 60 rounds. I'm trying to find the person's name. I believe it was Jalen Walker. I think his name is Jalen Walker. Yeah, Jalen Walker. And let me see if I can do a quick search here to ascertain the race of the individual. Why does that matter? It matters. So as we speak, demonstrators and protesters were in the streets up in Akron. And Akron was preparing a July 4th weekend celebration because, July 4th is on Monday. They cancel all of that because they're afraid of protesters. And welcome to July. Today is the first day of July 2022. We made it. Jalen Walker. Let me see if I can find the race of this individual. I believe it was a black man. I believe it was Lisa writes, yeah, he was a black man. And see, this is the reason why I just won't tolerate people that try to overly criminalize children. I'm just not going to tolerate it. And I don't care who you are. You're going to get pushback from me. Oh, he's superhuman. He has so much strength. That's the reason why brothers that's the mentality that leads to, a brother getting shot at 90 times because he's superhuman. You just can't shoot him once or twice. These black men were bred for endurance. You just can't shoot him once or twice. You got to shoot him 90 times like he's a damn Yeti, like he's some kind of mythical beast. Sad. Very, very sad. Good morning to you. I definitely want to give a shout out to Kentaji, Judge Kentaji Brown Jackson, the first black female to ever be on the Supreme Court. She was sworn in yesterday. I mean, there's so many other things going on, but she was sworn in yesterday, Kentaji Brown Jackson. As black women, I'd like to know, how do you feel about this? I would imagine you feel like, like maybe that glass ceiling is being lifted. And I'm glad to see that there is a black woman on the Supreme Court, long overdue. I wish we had a black man on the Supreme Court, but we've got a brother that's masquerading as black. He ain't for us. He ain't for us. He is not for us at all. And he shows you every day. Clarence Thomas is not for us. What's interesting, man, is that Clarence Thomas started like this: Afro pick, soul brother #1, power, the whole 9 yards. That's how he started. And through a series of events in his life, he changed. But I'm glad to see we need a black man on the Supreme Court. But I'm glad to see Kentaji Brown Jackson becomes the first black female Supreme Court justice. I wish that she's going to a court with a heavy conservative majority. So her impact is going to be diluted. I'm glad she's there, but her impact is going to be diluted. Have y'all been paying attention to SCOTUS? Radicals with judges with robes on. Radicals with robes on. Now the EPA can't even do its job to help keep American corporations and companies from polluting our atmosphere. Somewhere Mother Earth is crying. But, this is what happens. It's the consequences of voting. So I'm glad to see Kentaji Brown Jackson becomes the first black female Supreme Court justice. despite what these people in new black media might tell you, I think it is significant. You know, I've been monitoring what they say, and they just water it. Oh, this is nothing. Biden think he gonna get our vote just because you put a black woman on the Supreme Court. I'm telling you, some of that new black media is every bit as much of the problem as legacy and traditional media. Quite honestly, it's very, very sad. Good morning to you. Very, very sad. She becomes the nation's 116th justice. I wish that there was more balance on the court so that perhaps, you know, her vote can have more of an impact. But again, there's a heavy conservative, theocratic majority on the Supreme Court right now. So, you know, she could spend the next 10, 15, 20 years of her time as a member of SCOTUS, and she's always in the dissenting opinion. It could happen that way when it comes to the major decisions. You know what I'm saying? She might end up being like the Bradley Beal of the NBA, right? Like, she dynamite, but you ain't got no chance of ever winning a championship. We ain't gonna hear from you too much, right? And when we do, it ain't gonna really be too significant. Dale writes, a new black media is bullish. Some of it is straight bullish. Straight bullish. I hear what they're saying. I'm like, what? They ain't gonna scare us into voting? Huh? It ain't about scare. What the heck? But people listen to what they want to listen to. It is what it is. Kamika writes, Clarence Thomas is another example of people not respecting black women. Sister Anita Hill tried to tell it. Now look where we are. I believe I was a younger guy. I think it was like college era age or something. I can't remember what it was. I think it was 90s, mid-90s. So I was in college at that point. But I believed Anita Hill. I always believed her. She had no reason to come forward and make up lies about pubic hairs on Coke cans. She didn't make that up. He was really doing that. And he looks like the type to do that. Now, I'm not saying you should, you know, indict somebody off of looks, but I mean, you know, he looks like he would do some shit like that. He looks like it. Excuse my language. He looks like it. I'm trying to get better. Shout out to the wifey, man. I'm telling you, y'all just don't know. That woman is my business partner. She is the first producer of the show. And she brings balance to the force. She really, really does. If she's listening, thank you, sweetie. I appreciate it. She brings balance to the force. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm a Virgo. Yeah, she tried to tell the people didn't want to listen to her. They tried to say she was crazy. I always believed Anita Hill. Always. I thought that what she was saying, there was no reason for her to lie. Why would she step up and expose herself against the second black man that was going to be on the Supreme Court unless she had a real reason to do so? People tried to say that she was skilled, she was a woman scorned or jilted lover, potential lover, or she had some axe to grind politically. I don't believe none of that. I think that's a very hard thing to do, to step up into the lights and tell people that somebody tried to do something like that to you. And it takes a lot of courage. I believe the same. I believe that woman, what was her name? I forget her name, but the woman that accused Brett Kavanaugh of damn near sexually assaulting her, I believed her too. There's no reason why for her to come forward and lie about that. I don't believe it one bit. There's no reason for her to do it unless it was true. I believe it. It is what it is. Good morning to you. What up, Tabitha? Good morning to you. Yeah, let's chop it up. So far this morning, we talked about Kyrie Irving. My message to Kyrie Irving, where every team he goes to, is take that gosh darn vaccine and shut your mouth and go dribble. Period. Because if you don't, then the other people on that team, you're gonna sap the energy out of the room. You're gonna take the potential from what y'all could accomplish together away. And that's what he did in Brooklyn. And now Brooklyn is basically breaking up. That's why, man, you hear this a lot about R&B. You hear this a lot in like hip hop and things like that with these musical acts. That's working with other people, even though you've been having success, is a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to do because Daryl is on point. Christine Blase Ford. That's exactly her name. Thank you, Daryl. Brother's on point. We leveling up. Appreciate that. You're right. That was her name. I believed every word she said. I believe every word she said. I think Brett Kavanaugh did try to, when he was younger, push up on her. I think he did try to force himself on her, like, no, you're going to get this. I believed every word of it because there was no reason for her to expose herself to the ridicule, the scrutiny, the spotlight. For what reason? I mean, she's a professor, I believe, right? You're upending your career. I think she did it because she wanted to tell her story. But it is what it is now. Shut your mouth and dribble. Brent writes, that could be true. That could be true. I don't know. But wherever he goes, shut your mouth and dribble. Go get that vaccine and shut your mouth and dribble. Like, I understand people with the vaccine, but on some levels, I don't understand it. I've heard about people leaving jobs for vaccines. I'll be honest with you. I mean, you got to do you. And I respect everybody's opinion to do them. But that's some dumb-ish right there. It's just dumb. It's dumb. And I bet you the majority of the people that did that, they did it off of some like misinformation, disinformation stuff. Like they didn't really have all the facts. Or they talked themselves into a corner, or, you ain't going to tell me what to do, some of that kind of stuff. And they end up leaving a job they probably really liked or something like that for a vaccine that billions of people have taken. Billions of people have taken it. And then these same people will say, I don't want to take the vaccine. And then they'll go and eat a whole bunch of trash food and trash their body. It just don't make any sense, but that's what people want to do. That thing with Kyrie Irving didn't make any sense to me. You are one of the best NBA players in the game. You gonna sit out over a vaccine? Meanwhile, your teammates have taken a vaccine. Nobody wanted to be injected by anything. That's number one off the top. Nobody wants to be injected by anything. People did it because they wanted to preserve their life. Like I said, I believe I got COVID beginning of last year after I had taken a vaccine. And I think it helped. I think that my symptoms weren't as bad as they could have been. And I was away from the show for a week and a half. Just saying. Would I take Kyrie on my team? I mean, a lot of people, it's hard to say. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know. Ronald writes, Brett Kavanaugh and Cal Rittenhouse have the same fake cry face. Yes, they do. But Brett Kavanaugh told you in his speech, when he was all in his feelings, he told you what he was about to do. He's like, you know what? Psst, watch what we do now. He told you. Brent writes, the Brooklyn Nets are breaking up just like the soft middle did early this year. Yeah, the soft middle broke up. Keeping a team together over a long time. I mean, look, you name it. Most of your favorite R&B groups, soul groups, hip hop groups have broken up at some point. Hell, Public Enemy broke up. And the reason why they break up is because working with other human beings is a hard thing to do. Because human beings can be very selfish. They can be very me, I. And that'll kill any team. People get jealous. Why he got an extra 30 seconds. B2K and you name it. He got an extra 30 seconds. From the outside looking in, you like, well, damn, y'all all making money, y'all all shining, y'all should keep this going. From the inside looking in, he got more. He trying to act like this, and she trying to be this, and it happens like that. It breaks up. You take Tylenol and Advil and don't know what it is. I mean, again, it's hard for me to criticize somebody for their choice. You got your personal choice, but it don't really make a lot of sense to me. It really don't. It's all for nothing. It's like, again, I haven't done the research, but you show me somebody that left a job over a vaccine mandate, and it probably falls into a few boxes. Either one, just a lack of information. They just haven't done the homework. Or they saw a video and somebody had a phone and it looked like the phone was magnetized to their arm. They're like, or, you got people, you ain't gonna tell me what to do. You ain't gonna tell me what to do. Those kind of people. And again, that'll mess them up too. And it's just all for what? All for what? First the fat boys break up. Now it is right. Yeah, the hell the Migos broke up for a little while. It's all out there now. They stopped some tours and they and their feelings about something. Who knows what it is? But all I'm just saying is that's a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to do because the other thing about being on a team is, it's like high school, and you got to do a science presentation, and so there's 3 of you. Like the science teacher puts you all in groups of 3 or 4, and then you got one person that's doing all the fucking work. Excuse my language, doing all the work, and then the other people are kind of like holding on. What's gonna happen? It ain't gonna work. It's not gonna work, and I think the same thing happens like in any kind of thing, and it just destroys it. People have different expectations. Charles writes, Kyrie wouldn't swallow his pride. Once he dug his head in the sand, he couldn't see anything else, even though the results were all around him. It wasn't ego. Pride comes before the fall. And changing his stance would have made him look like an even bigger fool than he was. Yeah, pride comes before the fall. You're right about that. You're absolutely right about that. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just said, but look at all I know is look at what happened. James Harden left. Kevin Durant leaving. Why they leaving? Because of this fool. That's why. And I would leave too. You know what I'm saying? Like if I'm a basketball player, I'm Kevin Durant. I go to Brooklyn with a dude, let's say Kyrie Irving. We supposed to work together. COVID hits. Okay. New York hits with a mask mandate. I don't really want to take this vaccine, but I'm gonna take it anyway because I'm committed to this larger purpose. I take the vaccine. You and I talked about doing this thing together, and you don't take the vaccine. I'm out the door too. I'm not wasting whatever years I have left playing games with you. I ain't doing it. I don't know where he's gonna go. I think he's probably gonna go to Phoenix. That'll be dope. We'll see what happens. Good morning to you. 513-873-7134. So we talked about Shut Up and Dribble, why rape victims hesitate to come forward. Kentaji Brown Jackson, I'm glad to see this sister. I think it's going to be a great thing for little brown girls everywhere, to look up and see, oh man, Supreme Court, that they can be at the highest level of not only, the legal game, right? The so-called criminal justice system, but whatever it might be. I think that's a beautiful thing for brown girls and women everywhere, really anybody, everywhere. And I don't know if people are going to credit Biden for that, but they should, because Donald Trump never did that. Barack Obama didn't do that. Barack Obama could have did it, but he didn't do it. Why didn't he do it? Maybe you ain't going to tell me there weren't no qualified black female justices or potential justices. I don't believe that. So I think, you got to give credit what's due. So it is what it is. Tabitha writes, you better vax that thing up. Yeah. Girl, you looking good with it. Vax that thing up. That's hilarious. Vax that thing up. Props to Juvenile, man, and Manny Fresh. That was a lot of fun. You better vax that thing up. Wasn't there like a line in there? Like, if you want to get some, you better vax that thing up. That's funny. That's funny, man. Good morning to you. Good morning, and good morning, man. I'm glad to have you here. I'm telling you, man, life is just such a blessing. Life is such a blessing. And if you're just in tune with the world and you pay attention, life will teach you and life will bless you. And I've had those experiences in the last 24 hours. And it is nothing but a blessing. I like to see things for what they really are. Daryl writes, SCOTUS is ruling on states can appoint officials to overrule elections. Well, SCOTUS just ruled that the EPA can't stop companies from emitting pollutants into the atmosphere. They say that's the work of Congress. But Congress created the EPA and then gave the EPA, that's the Environmental Protection Agency, its powers. So, but you can expect more of that. Now that they got a majority, they're going to do what they want to do. Get ready for it. It is what it is. Brent Rice, the only starter Brooklyn Nets have now left over is Ben Simmons, and he still won't shoot outside of 10 feet. That's right. If you Ben Simmons, you got to be like, damn, I thought I was part of something special, and now it's just me. But we'll see. We'll see. Good morning to you. The Congress to Ohio Rivers will be set ablaze again tonight's companies. All I know is that the big old climate scientists and climatologists, if that's a word, they're all saying that the Earth and our relationship to Earth is at a tipping point, meaning that we're at a point that if we don't stop, we're never going to be able to stop. It's kind of like maybe almost like a mountain. And so we're right here and we're going the wrong side of it and we won't be able to like change our momentum. That's what they keep saying. Now, I have to take their word for it. And so now this Supreme Court ruling with the EPA makes it more difficult for the federal government to regulate pollutants from some of these U.S. companies. Okay. It is what it is. We are where we are. Good morning to you. Hope you're doing well. 513-873-7134. Today's show is brought to you in part by our friends over at Wing Champ, the undisputed champion of all wings. You can call ahead for pickup and/or delivery today. There's a link in today's description. Check them out at 3Ws.originalwingchamp.com. Man, it's July 4th. You know you don't want to cook. Oh, get you some carry out. Call you in an order. Oh, okay. Get you some carry out. Call you in an order. Oh, yes. Thank you. Like the green. Sorry, talking to the white thing. Wing Champ, originalwingchamp.com. That's their website. Today's show is also brought to you by our friends over at Renew Community Church. That's very colorful. I did talk to Charlie Winburn. You know, his name came up in the media. His name came up in the P.G. Sittenfield trial. And Ndukwe said that he, Christopher Smitherman, John Cranley, and Charlie Winburn were all a part of a conversation in which they were sitting around talking about election laws and stuff like that. I did get a chance to talk to Charlie Winburn about that. What he told me is that it was uncategorically not true. That's what he told me. He said, Nate, he didn't say if I was, but he's like, what do I look like doing this in a room with Cranley? Which makes sense. So I appreciate him telling me that. I'm telling you that because, it's important. I'll be honest with you. I choose the sponsors for our show, very, very carefully. It means a lot to me because I don't run a lot of sponsorships, but I want to make sure it's something that is good for our community. I want to make sure it's something that you can get something out of. And it's a two-way street. I represent them and they represent me on some levels. And that's not lost on me. That is not lost on me, but I wanted to give you a heads up on that as to what Charlie Winburn had to say about his name coming up in that P.G. Sittenfield trial. You can check out the masterclass on Sundays at 11:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can find them on Facebook at facebook.com/Cincy Renew and on YouTube at Renew Community Church live stream. Good morning to you. Hope you're doing well. A good way of supporting this show is supporting the people that support the show. Good morning to you. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Dill writes, people must vote. Yeah, but you know what? The politicians and political campaigns and parties, they need to do a better job of motivating people. It's got to be more than just here's a candidate, because that works with some people, but not everybody. You got to inspire people. You want people to feel like, yeah, when I vote on this, I know this is going to lead to change. And I'll put that in the hands of the political party. That's not my job. I don't work in politics like that. That's their job. That's their job to figure it all out. Oh, what's up? We got Brother Christian Boykin here. What up? You guys, good morning, choppers and sinners. What's up, Christian? Good to see you, brother. Hoping all is well. Sending you positive vibes. Good to see you. Charles writes, I have asked Charlie, is that a word? What word? What word are you talking about? Crystal Wheelwright's in the house. She writes, good morning, choppers. Good to see you. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. Um, Ray is in the chop shop. She writes good risings all. Sharp writes TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. Nathan Choppers. Ray writes, Nathan, after the trial, can you get Gooding on and discuss his views, position on the clerk of courts? His opinions are scathing at the least. I would like to do a comparison on what he said on WLW. I most certainly will. I'm going to reach out to Steve Gooding and see if we can have him come on right before we anticipate the verdict. So maybe Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. I think they're going to, well, what's being predicted is that they are going to conclude the PG Sittenfield trial on Wednesday, I believe. If I'm wrong about that, set me straight. So I don't know how long the jury might deliberate on something like that. I really can't tell you, but we'll find out together. You know what I'm saying? There's just been some really interesting stuff that came out of that, you know, not just PG Sittenfield's own actions and his words, but just the way the government crafted this case. It's very interesting. Very, very, very interesting. And what's up with Sam Malone? Has Sam Malone been on anybody's show to talk about why his name came up? And was Sam Malone actually, did he know that he was showing FBI agents around, or did he not know? You know, I don't know. He hasn't called into this show. He might have called in the LinkedIn show. I don't know. You tell me. I don't know. But I'd love to hear what his thoughts are. I really would, because it ain't a good look. It ain't a good look, and it just, especially not in our community. Let's be real here. And it makes you wonder, and I don't know. You know, maybe hell, PG Sittenfield didn't know that he was dealing with FBI agents. So it wouldn't be too unbelievable to believe that Sam Malone didn't know. But then if he didn't know, what was his motivation? Was he doing it for like a finder's fee? That's legal. You know, hey, look, you know, hey, I'll show you around town. I know some people. I know how to talk to people. People like me. Let me get a finder's fee. I can help you with your project. I don't think there's that's hustling. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think we need to hear it. Or was he willingly and wittingly working with the FBI? And then the next question would be why? You know, did he have some criminal exposure? I'm not suggesting it. I haven't heard anything. I'm just asking the questions. I'm spitballing, stream of consciousness. In no way am I trying to indict that brother or criminalize that brother. In no way. Because I don't know. But I'm just asking the questions. You know, why was he doing what he was doing? Have y'all heard Sam Malone on with anybody? I'm going to reach out to Sam and see if he's willing to come on the show. I already probably can guess what's going to happen, but I'm going to do it anyway. And see what happens, because I'm very curious about that. Yeah, and is Stephanie Summerall Dumas, is she running? Is she actually running in the election? Because I don't hear her, and I'm not everywhere. Didi writes, he said he thought he was showing investors around. Okay. Again, that's plausible. That's completely legitimate and plausible and believable. Because like I said, PG Sittenfield thought he was talking with investors. So he thought that it's not out of the realm of possibility to believe that Sam Malone believed the same thing. And I bet he wasn't doing it for the kindness of his house. You know, I just love development in Cincinnati. I bet he was getting a finder's fee for that. I hope he was. But I don't think there's anything illegal with that. That's just hustling. Tabitha writes, I want that FC Cincinnati deal to be investigated. The whole West End been sold out. Tabitha, I know, but what would they investigate? What's to investigate? Pardon me. What would they investigate, Tabitha? I don't think there's what's in question. You know, what we saw is the elites, and by elites, I mean in terms of their money and their influence in Cincinnati, and that would be the various owners of FC Cincinnati. Jeff Birding is the smartest man in Hamilton County. You know, Jeff Birding could sell ice to igloo to Eskimos. Jeff Birding, if you want to get something done in Hamilton County, you call Jeff Birding. He can get it done. You know, and the other thing is that these politicians, they want to be a part of the rebirth and the Renaissance in Cincinnati. They looked at it and they thought it was a good idea. So the only thing that I would, and again, this is just me I'm not in the West End. I don't know anything about the deal, but the only thing that I think is worthy of investigating is investigating whether the community could have got a sweeter deal. Like more money to some of those youth organizations in the West End and more money here and more money there. That's what I would look at. I think if you're going to investigate anything with FC Cincinnati, I would be interested in investigating the thought processes and the motivations of the Cincinnati School Board. Remember, we had Carolyn Jones on, and I asked her about it, and she basically said that it was going to happen no matter what, and that's why she went along with it. And I'm like, huh? What? Yeah, I mean, we're going to investigate something, Tabitha. I think those are things I want to investigate. I like to investigate what Carolyn Jones said because I'll never forget it. She came on this show, and this was like before COVID. And I asked her, like, why'd you vote for this? What was the top? She said they was going to do it no matter what. She mentioned eminent domain. Now, I don't know if it's true or not, but what she basically said was that the city was going to take the property anyway. So they wanted to get something out of it. I think that's worthy of investigation, but I don't know if that's true or not. Or if she was just talking. I don't know. I think that we should investigate and study the long-term impact of that stadium to the West End on various factors, including how it impacts the community, the folks that was already down there. You know what I'm saying? Did that help the residents of the West End or not? I think that kind of thing. But I don't remember there being anything criminal per se about it. Like maybe you want to investigate the relationship between Cranley and FC Cincinnati. So maybe there are some things to investigate, actually. Maybe there are. I'm like, hey, maybe there's nothing, but I just named a few things. Angela writes, yes, seat warmer is on the November ballot along with Smitherman and that Republican Matt somebody. You said seat warmer? Yeah, I don't hear enough from Stephanie Summerall Dumas. And she ain't going to win if she ain't getting out there. And like I said, if I was her, I would be talking about the fact that Christopher Smitherman's name came up, and I'll be throwing that up just to like draw some suspicions because you're trying to win a race. He would have to fully explain that in public. So I don't know. I've seen a couple Stephanie Summerall Dumas. Has anybody seen any like campaign like lit, or is she doing any interviews? I don't see anything. I don't see anything. I don't hear anything. I don't see anything. And what is this, July? So we got the rest of July, that's 1, August 2, September 3, October 4, and then November. But the election is early November. So we got 4 months. And the county is big. So maybe she's not putting her resources in our community here. Maybe she's worried about the other county areas. And that's just not on my radar screen. That's totally possible. You know what I'm saying? That's totally possible. But I think I've seen maybe 1 or 2 campaign yards, and that was over in Avondale. And that's all I've seen from Stephanie Summerall Dumas. That's it. That's all. And that ain't going to get it because Smitherman going to be out there. He going to be the friends who support Christopher Smitherman. They're going to make sure he got money, and he going to be out there. How do I feel about Stephanie Summerall Dumas in Hamilton County Commission so far? Yes, thank you. Is there college in here?
Yes.
Is there a lot of college in here? I'm just messing with you. Enzo writes 0, right? That ain't good for Stephanie Summerall Dumas. That is not good. Hopefully, they'll ramp things up. Who's running her campaign? Is it Bishop Bobby Hilton? I mean, I don't know what his background is. Does he have a lot of background? If he is running her campaign, does he have a lot of background in running campaigns? I don't know. I almost feel like I don't have enough information to make a decision about her. At least on my radar screen, she's far less visible and vocal than, let's say, Alicia Reese. I mean, we hear from her, and I'm glad all the time. I don't know if 70 Summer Road Dumas is doing that with other radio stations and platforms. I don't know. I mean, you would know better than I do. But she need to get out there if she really wants to run for re-election. I read something in the Inquirer, and it was Jason Williams, and basically he said that Christopher Smith's name coming up. And it's the same thing Black Russia said. Jason Williams, in his most recent column, said basically that he doesn't think that Christopher Smith's name coming up in his P.T. Sinfield trial is going to have an impact on him because 70 Summer Road Dumas is not going to run a good campaign. That's what he said. And I'm like, wow. Wow. I mean, if I'm 70 Summer Road Dumas, I'm going to take that like a personal challenge. It's like, oh, really? Oh, word? Oh, word? Good morning to you. If you tuned in and you're wondering, have we talked about the Akron police firing 90 plus shots at a motorist who had basically, there was a high speed chase earlier in the day and it ended with a volume of gunfire. Autopsy says that this man was hit 60 times. 60 times by 8 different officers. Like, that doesn't that mean they had to reload? So there was a 4.5 minute chase that went up to 80 miles per hour. And they chased this man for 4.5 minutes at speeds of up to 80 miles per hour. The man, his name is Jalen Walker, 25 years old. He eventually jumped out the car, and police say they first deployed their tasers, but ultimately opened fire after they say Walker made motions and caused them to fear bodily harm. 8 officers unleashed a hail of gunfire that was captured on body cameras worn by the officers. Eyewitnesses who remain anonymous say that the last shots were fired while Mr. Walker's body was on the pavement. 8 officers, 90 plus rounds. You got 8 people with guns and you're afraid of a man who you don't even confirm has a weapon? And guess how this started, folks? You ain't gonna believe this, or maybe you will. This all started with a traffic infraction. That's how it started. This all started with a traffic infraction. That's it. They attempted to stop his car for a traffic infraction, an equipment issue. So what, do you have a busted taillight? So dude takes off, they chase him. He gets out the car. They think he got something. I believe that no weapon was found on the scene. I haven't read that there's a weapon that was found on the scene because, if they had found a weapon on the scene, that would have been the first thing in the headline. Weapon found on the scene. That would have been what led, because it leads to exonerate the actions of the police. And we talk about the police, but these local media outfits are complicit along with the actions of police in many cases, I found. They jump right in and they get a sympathetic reporter or sympathetic writer who will write up a story with a slanted view. And when people read that, it immediately slants their view in how they look at the situation moving forward. I don't believe in high-speed chases for traffic violations. I just don't think it's worth it. They could have ran into a family and killed somebody over a traffic infraction. But it seems like some of these officers live for the chase. Ooh, we had some excitement today, boy. What happened? Well, routine traffic stop, dude takes off. So what do? Shh. We get in the car, we chase him down. It's like they can't resist the temptation to play, TJ Hooker or something like that. But that just seems excessive to me. It just seems excessive to me. I'm no expert, but 90 plus rounds from 8 different officers at one man who didn't have a gun. But it goes back to what we talked about. And that's why I always resist it when people try to over criminalize black people, or, let's go back to that situation with the water boys of Reading Road. That's why I push back on callers who call in, and even people in the chop shop talking about, well, he looked like a grown man. That's the same rationale that some of these law enforcement officers have. Ooh, he's a big boy. I got to shoot you. I got to shoot you. Like, people think that way. You know what I'm saying? But there's people in the community that think that way. I just was reminded of it. Like I just had a memory that just reminded me of something very similar to that. Nat writes, I'm still voting for Dumas over Slitherman, duh. Oh, I mean, since you shared that, for me, it's a no-brainer. I just don't understand what Christopher Smitherman would bring to the table. I think it would just be grandstanding, doing press conferences, talking about taxpayer dollars and shit that really don't matter. If he gets on the Hamilton County Commissioners, that's the only role he's going to be able to play, because there's only 3 people on the commission. And, majority rules. So what rule is he going to play? What has history told us about Christopher Smitherman? This is what he's willing to do. This is what he did on city council. Talking about the Gang of Five and text messages and who said what about your wife, and division. We don't need that on the Hamilton County Commissioners. I don't need that. That's not good for us. I don't believe, but we'll see. We shall see. Brian writes, that's a firing squad. Government paid killers, period. That ain't even a firing squad. Shit, a firing squad don't shoot 90 plus rounds at a condemned individual. They don't get that. 90 plus rounds? That's just ridiculous, man. I feel for that brother. I don't know the circumstances, but I feel for that brother. And, I feel 2 ways about it. I feel the same way, but I feel 2 ways. On one hand, it goes back to what I said about you're not going to win on the side of the road. On the second hand is, just because somebody runs don't mean they deserve to die. Now, I wouldn't recommend that you run, but if you do run from the cops, I don't think you deserve to die. And you don't pose no threat to them. You don't have no weapon. I don't believe that. And so they just keep shooting and shoot. So now at some point he becomes target practice. They know this man is dead. They can see he's on the ground. They're just gonna keep shooting because either 1 or 2 reasons. Because they want to keep shooting him. They want to shoot him. They want a body. Remember the sister who called in? We did an interview with her from Los Angeles, and she was talking about the gangs, the sheriff gangs of LA. Remember that? Oh, brave sister, man. Props to that sister. Very, very brave young sister. She basically exposed, corruption and the gangs inside the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Network. They got a lot of different, offices all through the LA area. And what she found is that there's actually gangs, like Los Angeles Sheriff County members have formed their own gangs with their own names, tattoos, and everything. And the way you get in and the way that you, establish yourself is by killing people. This is what she said. I'm not making this up. This is what she said. I can't remember the sister's name, but if you Google gangs of LA, she'll come up. She was on a Breakfast Club. She was all over the place talking about this. And then what I found out maybe like a month or 2 after we talked with her last year is that they opened an investigation was opened in LA about the LA gangs. So sis was right. Is that what's happening up in Akron? Like, what would make you do that? So either you're doing it because you want to shoot somebody and you getting something out of it, or you just so caught up in the moment that you just pulling the trigger. You just pulling. I don't know. That's right. Knock LA. Tabitha is on point. That's right. Knock LA. Knock LA. That's right. That's the organization that she works for. I think it's like an independent news organization. Tabitha is on point this morning. Gosh darn it, I loves it. Dale writes, his treatment of Liz Rogers speaks volumes. He could have handled that situation behind closed doors off the record, then went down to Dow to gather supporters. Look look at me. I'm a magical Negro. I'm one of the good ones. Well, Daryl, that's exactly my opinion about it. I felt the same way. I actually listened to some of that. People turn me on to it. Like, are you listening to Smither? I'm like, no. I turn it on. I hear this black man playing the magical Negro. Like, yeah, pat me in the head. Yeah, I'm a good boy. I'm a good boy, Willie. I'm a good boy, Willie. And I'm like, what the hell? But I know why he did it. And to his credit, it worked. It worked. That community, that community that listened to that radio station was not going to accept Christopher Smitherman unless he brought them somebody. He had to bring them the bones. He had to bring them a sacrifice. And the sacrifice was Liz Rogers. You couldn't just walk in the door like, hey, I'm an independent, and I think the same way you do. No. They wanted a sacrifice. And so he served up Liz Rogers. That is my personal viewpoint based upon what I heard. Because I listened to it. I'll never forget this. So I'm with you, Daryl. For that reason, I would find it very, very hard to look past that with that particular man. It would be very hard for me to look past that. I'm not going to say anything is impossible. It would just be very, very hard. But let me go back to the phones for the first time. Hey, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, comrade. Back for the first time.
Oh, I love it. What's up, Black Russia? Good morning to you.
Good morning. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. I can take it you don't like my take on your boy Chris Smitherman. Is that where we're going with this?
The last part was inaccurate. As far as human sacrifices and all that, that's kind of extreme. There was one thing I think maybe Daryl said, and I don't really adjust Daryl because he lives in Atlanta, so he really don't have a vote up here. But the reality is this. The former vice mayor did talk to Liz Rogers offline. There were people in the room with her behind the scenes telling her that the deal down there on the bench was a bad deal. That was his personal financial advice he gave to her. Okay, and she took the deal anyway. So, I don't understand what all this talk is about. That he didn't sit down with her, he didn't come to her. That's not happening at all.
You're burying the lead, sir.
I'm sorry.
You're burying the lead. That's not what the issue is. The issue wasn't that people really felt like he didn't sit down and talk about Liz. The issue is, yeah, they did, but see, you're harping on that to overlook the real infraction. The real infraction is that your boy Smitherman spent years going down the dial and still talking about the same deal and making it seem like this woman wasn't a good businesswoman. So that's what I meant by he had to bring that audience to sacrifice. And this is my opinion. He sacrificed Liz Rogers. He sacrificed Liz Rogers so he could ingratiate himself with that audience. That's exactly what he did.
He didn't need Liz Rogers to be on that platform. He had already been on that platform. Liz Rogers was on top of the discussion because taxpayer money was involved. So when you take taxpayer money, it's fair game. If she did her own private thing and not took taxpayer money, I doubt you'd have heard anything about it. But the fact that there was taxpayer money tied up into it, it's a legitimate issue.
Yeah, but if it's
unsavory, but that's legit.
But if it's all about taxpayer money, there was a lot of businesses on the banks that got taxpayer money. He never spent years and years and years talking about those owners and them. He only focused on Liz Rogers.
He's about to talk about who we want to talk about.
He is. And my opinion is he did that because it's a sister. And in order for him to be accepted by that audience, he had to bring him a sacrifice. So who would he bring him? He brought Liz Rogers. Well, that's just my opinion. I can't say whether it's true or not. That's just my opinion.
I hear you on that. You're talking to your opinion. I'm just saying, from my perspective, He didn't need to talk about this.
Yes, he did.
Then
why did he do it?
Because it was a bad deal for the taxpayer.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, people are allowed to talk about what they want to talk about. Chris Gilmore always talking about saving the animals. He never talks about black folks. He voted against the deal.
That's not true.
That's absolutely true.
That's absolutely not true, quite honestly.
Roxanne Paul voted against the deal. She gets no free. But y'all focus on the black guy. I mean, that's racist.
Roxanne Qualls, see, it's not about whether you voted for the deal or not. Roxanne Qualls didn't go on 700 WLW and 55 KRC for years, still talking about the deal and how it was the worst thing ever and making it seem like Liz Rogers was a bad business person. That's the reason why nobody talks about Roxanne Qualls. Christopher Smitherman did that, and that's the reason why people focus on him. Come on now.
In terms of being a bad businesswoman, I mean, she didn't pay her state income taxes. That's why she got shut down. Smitherman didn't shut her down. She shut herself down by not paying her taxes. I mean, that's legitimate information.
Okay. I mean, we're not going to see eye to eye on this because that's your boy. And you like to sit on his lap and he lets you ride up front and hold on to the wheel from time to time. So I get it.
Well, he's going to win this race anyway. Because Stephanie Lewis, I'm in the process of getting these campaign finance reports. I can get you the date total. It'll be after the holiday, according to the Board of Elections.
Okay.
But the reality is going to be, you're going to see 100 to 1. And the thing is, look, people who don't necessarily care for Stephanie Lewis, they're not going to vote for her. There's more Democrats than people think they ain't voting for Stephanie Lewis, bro. I'm telling you.
We'll see.
There's people already ready for her to get up out of there. Because they thought it would work better with Smitherman anyway.
We'll see. I hope not, because I don't think he's going to do a good job. I don't think very highly of him as an elected official, just based upon his actions on city council.
Because of Liz Rogers, I mean,
That ain't the only reason. That ain't the only reason. But that goes a long way. I mean, that says a lot about him. But I just felt like he was overall just a source of a lot of negative energy on city council.
More than PG Sittenfield with the Gang of Five?
A hell of a lot more than PG Sittenfield with the Gang of Five, because I think the number. No, I know he let you sit up front and hold the wheel sometime. You sit in his lap. I know you're not. I get that. I'm not trying to convince you. I'm just saying that's I felt like it was nothing but negative energy. It was a whole bunch of division and separating people and getting his feelings and finger pointing. It was a whole bunch of nonsense when he was down there. And
holding people accountable can be best, but that's what he did. It turns when he was down there, he held people accountable.
Yeah, but he should have been holding himself accountable. And it ain't about necessarily holding people accountable. It's about checking yourself and doing what's right by the public. And I don't think the public was served by Christopher Smitherman and his never-ending obsession about the Gang of Five and text messages and Democrats and Republicans and division. And if he gets on the Hamilton County Commissioner, he's going to be in the minority. And so what's he probably going to do? He's going to fall back on that same reflex, division, finger pointing. I just feel like we can do better.
I think he's going to be in the minority. I disagree. I think he'll be in the majority.
Well, he'll be in a minority because, number one, there's going to be a majority of Democrats, and he'll be a Republican-leaning independent. So right off the top, he's going to be, talking facts. He's a Republican-leaning independent. That's the truth.
If you want to say right-leaning, that's fair. But don't say
I didn't say he was. I said he's a Republican-leaning independent, and he is. That's very accurate, sir. I mean, hell, it's so true that the Hamilton County chairman said they were actually, well, two things happened, and it's on Cincinnati.com. One, Alex Triantafilou, the Hamilton County chairman, was mulling over actually Christopher Smitherman being a Republican. They wanted him to win as a Republican. Proves everything. I'm just telling you, but it goes so far to show you how much he leans to the Republicans that the Hamilton County Republican chair wanted him to run as Republican. And inside the Republican Party, it seems there's a little debate about whether they're going to support their candidate or Christopher Smitherman. That just goes to show how much to the Republicans that he leans, because they wouldn't think that way and feel that way about him if he wasn't leaning into him that way.
Bro, I have seen Smitherman's house all through the hood, all through Avondale, all through Bar.
We weren't ever talking about him going through the hood, sir.
Black Democrats before. I mean, we're talking about a lot of black Democrats.
That's irrelevant to my point, sir. My point was that he is a Republican-leaning independent, and I proved it, and it is what it is. And so if he gets on, if he gets,
if you want to prove somebody, that's one thing. But he ain't take the hit. If he told them, no, I don't want to be a Republican, I want to be an independent, then you can't call him Republican leaning. He would have took the recruitment.
He's Republican-leaning, sir, and you can shake it as much as you want to, but he's still going to be Republican-leaning. It's just what it is. Just admit it.
The facts are he's unaffiliated. Those are the facts. That's paperwork.
Yeah, and the facts is that he's Republican-leaning, and if he gets on the Hamilton County Commission, he's going to be in the minority. He's going to be in the minority.
No, he won't be. Why do you keep saying that? What makes you think he'll be in the minority?
Well, he's going to be. Is he a Democrat?
So
I didn't ask you. I asked you, is he a Democrat?
I said no.
Okay, so that means he's going to be in the minority. Because when he gets on it, if he gets on the Hamilton County Commission, you already got 2 Democrats there. That means they outweigh him, which means he's the minority.
Look, I can see right now.
Right?
Alicia Reese and Swindon, no, that's not right.
Okay.
Alicia Reese and Christian Swindon are African American people. So if you want to try to talk about the political side, there's going to be a majority African American born. And look, people need to know. Alicia Reese and Christian Swindon.
We already got a majority African American board.
Right, but one ain't itch. I mean, one's a nobody. One hasn't done anything other than putting an email when she pledged that she wanted to get tax.
And what has Christopher Smitherman done other than let you sit in his lap and hold on to the big wheel sometime?
Well, you do that PG, so we're even.
I don't know what you're talking about, sir.
Well, the reality, I know you don't. It's okay. Well, Alicia Reese and Christopher Smitherman are going to be working together. They're going to be working together. There's no question about it. And like I was saying about Lewis or dumbass, I call her dumbass because she's an idiot. Okay, she'll turn around.
So why are you calling this black woman out of her name, sir?
Because she's a dumbass, bro. She don't raise no money. She votes crazy. Okay, and then she turns around. She pledges to give back taxpayers.
How does she vote crazy, sir?
I'm sorry.
How does she vote crazy? Because she voted for that MLS deal, and you liked it.
I like the politics of it because she's running in a re-election. So, like, she had to.
So how does she vote crazy, sir? How does she vote crazy, sir? I mean, you just called this woman all out her name. She's an idiot. I mean, listen to you. You sound like Smitherman down the Dow talking about Liz Rogers. Birds of a feather, huh?
I suppose, however you want to call it out, but you were both right. It's terrible. Not to mention, Bobby Hilton's ahead. She can stand down there. Are you kidding me? That's ridiculous, bro. She's down there.
Why is that ridiculous, sir? I mean,
that's ridiculous.
How is he any less qualified or to be in that position than anybody else's chief of staff?
Bobby Hill's don't know politics, bro. This is his first political job his entire life. He don't know
Okay.
what he's doing down there. But here's the reality again. I'm gonna go back to the Stephanie Lewis, how dumb she is. She'll pledge to the taxpayers in her base that I'm going to give back to my salary to help during COVID. Then she turns around like 6 months later and puts in an email, hey, can I get my money back? She's asking the county administration. Like, this is stupid. You just told the taxpayers.
Did she give 6 months of her salary to COVID? Did she give some of her money back during that 6 months?
She pledged it. She pledged it, yes.
So she did do it.
She pledged it.
So you don't even know what the hell you talking about, man. Why? How you gonna bring up a point and you don't know all the facts? Come on, bro. You got to do better than that.
But hey, the reality is that she pledged to get the money back. Actually,
did she give the money back? I mean, did for 6? You said she pledged to do it, but you don't know whether she actually did it or not.
No, she did it.
Oh, okay. Well, then if she did it, then she did what she said she was gonna do. Then.
No, then she turned around and asked for the money back.
Okay. And
right.
What's your point?
My point is, she's a dumbass.
Right now, I'm leaving early, so I don't have any on
And a lot of black Democrats are.
right now.
I think that you are slandering this black woman's name, just like your boy Christopher Smitherman used to slander Liz Rogers' name. That's what I think. For no reason. You ain't got no reason to slander this black woman's name, brother. Are you still there, sir? Okay, I think he's gone. Well, I mean, you know, birds of a feather flock together. You get somebody talking long enough, they'll show you who they really are. You know, he can feel whatever he want to feel about Stephanie Stu Dumas. That's how you feel about her. All I'm saying is if you're going to say something like that, then you should have the facts. So, you know, you say she votes crazy. How she vote crazy? Right? Then you say, well, you know, she is a dumbass because she plans to give some of her money back during COVID. Did she do it? Yes. I mean, come on, bro. This is easy. This is too easy. Oh my God. But birds of a feather flock together. Your boy was dogging out Liz Rogers. She ain't this, she ain't that. She should be a better. I didn't like the look of it. And I can't remember every single word because it was a long time ago. But I remember the feeling of it. And I'm like, wait a minute. It's a lot of strong Black female entrepreneurs out here. Don't shit on that shit like that. If you don't like the deal, you don't like the deal. You ain't got to keep talking about it and talking about it and talking about it and talking about it. You do that because you're trying to serve her up and it worked. Well, I'll say it again. Christopher Smitherman is no dummy. He played that audience. People get played every day. I sit back and watch people get played all the time. I sat back and watched Smitherman play that audience. It's a two-way street. They playing each other. You know what I'm saying? And he go in there, I'm the good Black Republican, Willie, right? So they get access to this brother that used to be the president of NAACP. And so the things he's saying lines up with what they feel. So it makes them feel good. And what he gets is access to their huge audience. Smitherman was playing on people. He played them for fools. But again, I see it every single day. You know, that shit is it's probably prevalent all over the world. All over the world. You know what I'm saying? People fall for that all the time. You know, it is what it is. Let me see. Then Christopher Smitherman reads, he leans, he's an independent, so he'll go probably vote in different ways, but he leans strongly to the Republican side. And if he didn't, then Alex Chiantafilu wouldn't have been thinking about making him a Republican. And then even though they got a Republican candidate that's going to be on the ballot, and that might be what sinks Smitherman. That might be what sinks him. Even though there's a Republican candidate for Hamilton County Commissioner, what I've read, as it's being reported by Jason Williams and others in the Cincinnati Inquirer, is that, you know, inside the Republican Party, they split. A lot of them want to roll with Smitherman because they feel like he aligns with their political view. And they wouldn't feel that way if he didn't lean into it. So, again, Smitherman is not a dumbass. That man is extremely smart. That man is cutthroat smart. And he is not to be taken lightly. At all. Not likely. So if you close to Stephanie Dumas, y'all need to call her. Y'all probably already doing it. Say, look, sis, what we doing here? How can I help? How can I help? We shall see. We shall see. Did you take a look at the paperwork that Chris was telling Liz not to sign because he knew it was a bad deal? Otherwise, what are y'all talking about? I just told you what I was talking about, Jack. I just told Black Russia. You know what I'm saying? I'm aware of that. I'm talking about years, for years. Even after, see, once the deal is done, the deal is done. And see, for me, I feel like once the deal is done, and the city and the county and whoever has made that commitment, and you're an elected official, then it's your job to help this project be as successful as possible. At the very least, you should, he basically did the same thing with her he did with the streetcar. It's the same thing. You know, I'm against the streetcar. Oh, this streetcar. Oh, it's the same thing with Liz Rogers. Oh, you know, I'm trying to stop these bad deals to waste taxpayer money. Meanwhile, how many of those restaurants and businesses that was on the banks failed? There was nothing down there. How many of them failed? They got city money. Didn't hear anybody talk about none of that stuff. Hell, you had an FBI witness that was in witness protection. I didn't know you could do this kind of thing. This dude was like a former mafia boss or in one of these, you think I'm making this up. I swear to God it's true. There's a man, I don't remember all the details, but there was a man that entered witness protection, like on some you know, straight mafia movie type stuff. And while in witness protection, he was like owning different businesses, and he owned a business that was on the bank. I believe they got money from the local government. Nobody said a word about it until the news broke in local news. I'm like, what the hell? The only person they talked about was Liz Rogers. That's because, you know, if you're a black man like Christopher Smith, man, you just can't go to, you know, you can't just go down the dial. You know what I'm saying? You got to bring them something. And he brought them the streetcar, and he brought them Liz Rogers. Like, look, here you go. Got a carcass for you. Tear it up. And they loved it. But he played them people. He played them people. Played them like a fiddle, man. A lot of very smart people in this city, man. A lot of very smart people. Don't ever think otherwise. Good morning to you. The former vice mayor will split Republicans and split the Democrat vote and comes out on top. My son. Black Democrats rolling with the former vice mayor. See you, buddy.
What's up, choppers?
What time you go swimming today?
About right now.
Okay. You might see Daddy. Be smart.
Mommy, what time am I?
Yeah, he going swimming today. Terrified all day because he don't know how to swim. Terrified. Again, being a parent is just never-ending terror. It's just never-ending terror. You'll never get no peace because you're worried about your little peoples. But it is what it is. I might have to stop over here today. I did the same thing with Medium Buddha. I just would stop over. Like, yeah, where the kids at? Oh, we over at I think I know he's gonna be over at I don't want to say, but he's gonna be out not too far from me. So I might pop over and just watch through the fence. I did that with Medium Buddha. She didn't know I was there. I'm just watching her. And I'm watching the camp folks. I'm just sitting out there, just making sure everybody on top of their job, because everybody don't do their job the way they should do. You know, you're dealing with them children, man. Woo. What's up, Junior? He said, good morning, choppers. Good morning, choppers. D-Kid writes, good morning. Yes, Smitherman cannot be trusted. I'm not a fan of Dumas, but I would never vote. I would vote for her over Smitherman. You know, as I sit here right now, I would too. And that's just based upon what I've seen from Smitherman before. But that's just me. You got to do what you think is right. You ready, man? All right. He looks so cute with his little CRC, his blue CRC shirt on. Have fun, bro. Be smart. Be strong. You hear me? Little boy. You hear me? Okay. Yeah. As you can see, we're back home now. We were in Chicago for a little while and had a good time. We were downtown on the Riverwalk, a great hotel. And had a good time. We got a chance to soak in some of the culture. And there's people from all over the world in that downtown area because that's where the hotels are. And a lot of the businesses, conventions, and things like that are there. But we got a good time. Nate, are you a helicopter parent? I think I am on some levels. On some levels I am, on some levels I'm not. When it comes to things that like my kids going places, I can be a helicopter parent. Absolutely.
Like today you might be going to the
Yeah, I might come say hi. Might.
I said that.
Might.
Might be.
Let me see. Grayson writes, meanwhile, dumbass ran Lincoln Heights into the ground as their manager. I think that's been disproven. I think that's true at all. Crystal writes, good morning, Junior, Medium Buddha, and the wifey. Oh, that's nice. The Medium Buddha is asleep. The wifey and Junior can hear. They're on the way out.
Kendall's awake.
Oh, she's awake? Okay.
She's been awake.
She's about to go back out with you, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Dior writes, I would stab myself in the eye with that voting pen in the voting booth before I vote for Slitherman. Hey, brother. Gotta do what you gotta do, man. Gotta do what you gotta do. Again, this is just me. You do you. Whatever you think is the right thing to do, you do you. Regina writes, yes, it's even when the kids are grown. Oh my God, I want the fear to stop, but it never stops, huh? Oh my gosh, I guess. I just don't have a lot of faith in other people. I really don't. I just don't have a lot of faith in other people because people are sloppy. People don't care. They be on their damn phones. People be on drugs. I just don't have a lot of faith in people. And nobody's going to look after my children the way I am. I already know that. Shaba writes, on my 48th time around the sun tomorrow, giving thanks even though I lost my aunt the other night. I saw that, brother. Again, condolences to you and your family. And I'm glad you're here with us for 48 around the sun. That's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. We need a junior report instead of a Slitherman report. It is what it is. I take the conversation as they come. I take it as they come. Again, this morning, I want to remind you that today's show is brought to you in part by our friends over at Renew Community Church. They offer a Sunday morning live stream. You can tap in on Sunday mornings at 11:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay? You can watch on Facebook, facebook.com/Cincy Renew. You can also watch on YouTube. You can also watch on YouTube. Good morning to you. Raised in the house. She writes, I knew back then Jenny Thomas was a loose cannon. Who calls the victim and demand they apologize? This chick. Ray writes, the next SCOTUS is going to be gay or Asian. The fight that will ensue. I'm here for it. Ray writes, cruelty and death is the point. 90 rounds. Okay, she writes. 90 rounds. These ain't ish. Excuse my language. Ray writes, Mrs. Dumas got her hands full. Coping with Denise ain't the move. Caping with Denise Treehouse ain't the move, perhaps. Oh, is that what she's doing? We shall see. We'll see if it works. Today's show is also brought to you by our friends over at Wing Champ. You can check them out online and look at their full menu, and it's well worth your time. Check it. Believe me, trust me on that. At 3Ws.originalwingchamp.com. You out the door, medium Buddha? Yes. All right, have a great day. That what you wearing? I guess so. Okay, you look good. You look good.
I mean, I'm wearing my work clothes up.
Yeah, for sure. You got sunglasses?
Yeah.
All right. Wing Champ, the undisputed champion of all wings. You can call ahead today for a pickup and or delivery, and you can pick up your Creamalicious brand ice cream. This is a Black-owned venture. Check them out. And Liz got a whole bunch of things going on that we'll be helping to promote really, really soon. So I'll tell you all about it. All right. Good morning to you. Hope you're doing well. Good morning. And life is just such a blessing, isn't it? Life is just such a blessing. It is. Like, the older I get, the more I learn about myself and I learn about the world around me. And I learned some things in the last 24 hours that I thank God for it. I thank God for the opportunity to be able to learn from other people and absorb and understand, my relationship with the universe. I know I'm speaking in very general terms, but let's just say that, if you keep your eyes open and you watch, and sometimes you got to be quiet, because most of us are very busy, right? We're always on this. Most of us are always on this. But if you can get away from this and just be quiet and learn and observe, you can learn a lot about the universe. A lot about it. Let me see. Mika's in the house. Good morning to you, Mika. Jenny's in the house. Good morning. Pamela's in the house. Good morning, everybody. I appreciate everybody for being here. Thank you. Again, you could be anywhere in the World Wide Web. You could be anywhere this morning, but you're choosing to be here with me, and I appreciate you. Appreciate it. So far this morning, let me give you a recap. Shut up and dribble. Kyrie Irving, shut up and dribble. If he would have shut his mouth and dribbled that basketball, the Brooklyn Nets would still be a thing right now. Now they ain't a thing no more. And all the sports analysts and most of the way it looks is because of him, his refusal to get the vaccine mandate. I think that his refusal to get the vaccine mandate is two things at the same time. I think on one hand, that's his personal choice, but I also think that it's selfish. That's what I think about. It's like, here you are a part of a team, and you are a desperately needed part, an integral part of the team, and you gonna mess up what y'all trying to get, what y'all trying to do over a vaccine mandate? And then everybody else on the team already took it. Selfish. And selfishness will destroy a team every single time. So wherever Kyrie Irving goes, my advice is the same. Shut your mouth and dribble. What you need to do, they're paying you to dribble. Go dribble. You dribble really, really good. between the legs, behind the back, crossover, left hand, right hand, up and under. You're really good at it. Go do that. Also, we talked about why rape victims don't come forward. It's on full display. Like, I'm still reading comments of people on my Facebook, and I'm glad because I want to provoke some thought. But it's quite interesting, some of these comments, man, and the support. Let's call it what it is. Like, R. Kelly still has support from Black people. Why do Black people continue to support R. Kelly when R. Kelly was abusing Black girls, abusing Black women? Well, my thought behind this is, and I don't think everybody is conscious. I think some of this is just it's subconscious. But everybody don't respect and value women. That's why. There's a lot of Black people that don't respect and value women. That's why. Like, what else could it be? They don't respect and value women. So I put out a Facebook update. I need to do more with my Facebook rather than just posting, the show. And I made a bold statement. I was meant to be provocative because it's how I really feel. And I wanted to see where people are at. But I made the statement that real men don't listen to R. Kelly anymore, which I stand by. And that any man that's still listening, and I should have said any man or one man, that is still listening to R. Kelly after all we know about, his crimes and his actions, that any man or woman that was doing that is suspect. Now, what do I mean by suspect? I'm not talking about their sexuality. I'm talking about their mentality. They're suspect in terms of how they view and value women. You ain't going to tell me that you value women and you still out here on some, I love the 12-play album. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe it one bit. I don't believe it. I remain unconvinced. And for the people out there that can separate it, I think I almost envy that because I can't separate it. Like, I just can't unsee what I've seen. Some people can be like, oh, well, I don't support the man, but that chocolate factory was dope, dog. I get it. I can't do that. I just can't do that. Some people can. Some people can. I cannot. I find it very, very hard to separate those two things. So we learned why rape victims hesitate to come forward. It's because they come forward and say they've been sexually assaulted or raped. And you might even have members of their own family that don't believe them. I can't imagine what that would feel like. Excuse my language, I wouldn't say anything either. I wouldn't want to say anything either. You already been traumatized. You go to your family. These are people that's supposed to love you. You tell them what happened. And they like, well, maybe you're misremembering that. Are you sure? Or they pass you off like D.L. Hughley did his daughter. D.L. Hughley's daughter went to him and said, look, this person sexually assaulted me. He was like, that's what kids do. That's what kids do. Or people will criticize them and say, well, why was you messing with a married man? Why was you at his hotel room at 2 a.m.? You know what time it is. You don't go to a man, listen, I was just telling my daughters we was talking about all of this while we was in Chicago. We was talking about this and talking about some of the comments. And I told her, I said, look, you got a right to start. But when you say it's over or get off me or stop, that's when it's supposed to end. Some people believe that, like, if a woman goes to a man's room at 2 a.m. and you start kissing him, then you're supposed to give him what he came for. I don't believe that. You can say no at any point, and no means no. But some people believe, like, well, I heard this with Bill Cosby. He's a married man. Like, because somebody might be committing one sin, if you believe it's a sin, like to mess around with a married man or a married woman, and they married, well, then if they rape you, isn't that what you wanted? Who are these people? But that's the reason why this world struggles to get better. And that's the reason why rape victims hesitate to come forward. You know, it's just really, really sad. It's really, really sad. You know, the arguments that people make. Well, what about America? America raped and privileged. So as long as America keeps playing the Star Spangled Banner, I'm going to keep playing 12 play. Now, you tell me what one has to do with the other. People make the most ridiculous arguments. But I've learned, you talk sense to a fool, they'll call you foolish. People calling me silly and all kind of shit. Ain't shit silly about me. I just got a different standard. That's it. Everybody different. I draw the line with pedophiles. I don't mess with you. And whatever happened to you, happened to you. That's just me. I draw the line with sexual abusers. Abuse in general. I just ain't with it. You abusing children? Hey, somebody catch up with you? You know, handle that. You handle that. You hold that. That's just me. We've also talked about SCOTUS, the Supreme Court. I talked a little bit about one of their most recent decisions. They basically handcuffed the Environmental Protection Agency. So what does that mean? That means more pollutants in the earth. Gosh darn it, G-O-D. Whatever name you want to call them, I'll say G-O-D, God, or maybe G-A-W-D, God. God gave us the Garden of Eden. We're living on it. It's called Earth. I mean, do you know how rare it is to have a planet in the universe, in the multiverse, that can support life? I mean, it's like a perfect balance. You know, we're living in the Garden of Eden and we're destroying it. And now the Environmental Protection Agency has been handcuffed. We'll see what that means for the environment. Probably bad things. But props to Kentaji Brown Jackson. Props to that sister. I think it's beautiful for the country. I think it's beautiful for brown girls and brown people everywhere. I think it's a great thing. My only issue is that now she's on the Supreme Court where she ain't got no real power. She's in the minority. She's dealing with a radical, conservative, I would say theocratic majority. So, you know, perhaps her legal brilliance will be shown in her dissents. But in terms of her impact, unless she's with the majority of the theocrats, we ain't going to see it. We elect Barack Obama and then we don't show out for the midterm elections. Barack Obama get handcuffed, right? Because people sat out of the election of 2016, we finally get Kentaji Brown Jackson, 8 years later, but essentially, you know, she's going to be on the minority, just like Chief Justice Breyer as he retired yesterday. We'll have to wait and see what that means. Some of these people might live another 25 years. That's within a lot of our lifetime. Maybe your children will see a swing in the courts. I don't know. But let me talk about this case. We talked about the case from Akron. A man was shot 60 times by police. He led him on a 4.5-minute high-speed chase. And were struck dozens of times, so the autopsy report says. And it all started because of a broken tail light? You know, they pull him over for a broken tail light, he takes off. Again, it's why I recommend you don't do all that. You know, just deal with it. You know, if you got to go to jail, you got to go to jail. If you're going to be arrested, you're going to be arrested. But all the high speed chase and running shit, I mean, why do all of that? If you're eventually going to end up in court anyway, like one way or another, you're probably going to end up in court. Now you can do that, you know, you get up in the morning at your house, you brush your teeth, put on a suit and you walk to court or you go to court, or you can wake up in the lockup facility. Your lawyer brings you a suit and they escort you from the lockup facility over to the courthouse. But one way or another, typically speaking, your ass going to the courthouse. So why make it difficult? At the same time, even if you do run from the police, if you ain't got no weapon and you ain't kidnapped and murdered nobody, 90 plus rounds at you? I mean, just ridiculous. But black people are looked upon as superhuman. We heard some people talking about that when we was talking about the water boys of Reading Road. Oh, he looked like a grown man. Ooh, lordy, lordy. I don't know what I would do. They had to do what they did. It's the same mentality. It's the same mentality. You know, we superhuman. So when you're dealing with a black suspect, ooh, you got to apply the maximum force. You got to apply the maximum force. We got to tase you quicker. We got to shoot you quicker because we are dealing with a wild beast. You out here with this Yeti strength. You got that Yeti strength. Ooh, we got to contain you quick. I think that's part of the mentality. And when I hear black people falling into it and buying into it, I'm like, huh? A Negro, please. I ain't doing that. Get mad if you want to. But now I want to talk about a very, very sad case. This is a very, very sad case of young Kendrick Ingram Jr., who was affectionately called Junior. I call my son Junior. Junior boy, get over here. And I love having a junior. I do. It's the best thing ever, having a little mini me. That's the best thing ever, I'm telling you. And I say that because my heart is very, very heavy as I talk about this story. Very heavy. You know, as a father, having a junior, this is like the worst thing ever. But the family of a Georgia toddler found dead in a car outside of a fast food restaurant has spoken out. Quote, the child's mother believes that God needed him more than she did. They're calling it a tragedy and an accident. What happened? Well, this little boy, 3 years old, died after being left in a hot SUV just a few days ago, back on Sunday, June 26th. Well, actually, it was, just a few days ago. He was left in the SUV by his grandmother for about 2.5 hours. Apparently, the young boy was spending time with his grandmother, a woman named Cassandra Thomas, and 7 cousins. After being, out all day, he fell asleep in the back of the car. That day, they went to church service, and grandma had to do various errands throughout the day, and then they went back home. And after going back home, everybody, just imagine, they jumped out the SUV, they all go in the house, grandmother goes to her room, the kids are doing whatever they're doing, and they completely forgot about the kid. So hours and hours passed, and the grandmother noticed that this 3-year-old was missing because his mother came to the house to pick him up. That's a routine scenario. You see that kind of stuff happen all the time. We're because usually grandma and grandpa are going to be the first line of babysitters. You know what I'm saying? My grandmother used to drop me off with my grandparents. Could you imagine? You go to the home, your parents' home, you thinking your boy is safe. I mean, other than with you, where would they be safer? Who would be safer than grandparents beside the parents? Nobody. Nobody would be safe. You would think your kids are as safe with your mom and dad as they would be with you. So mom goes to pick up the child. They realize the child's not even in the house. Grandma's frantic. They start thinking back and they think, oh, he must still be in the car. But the car was not at home. Grandmother had lent the car out, to a cousin or a family member. And the family member, I believe, I don't know if the family member worked at Wendy's or was at Wendy's. But when they tracked down the car was in a Wendy's parking lot. They look in the back seat, the little boy is back there unresponsive. According to the National Weather Service, the temperature on that day was at its highest 96 degrees and at its lowest 90 degrees. Now, think about this for a second. Because it's hard to imagine sitting in a car that's in the hot sun and the windows are up and the car's not running, because we don't do that. But have you ever got back into your car that was sitting in the sun all day? You ever got back into a hot car? Man, it's like you just walked through the gates of hell steaming. If you got leather seats, woo-wee. You almost don't want to sit down. It's like it's burning you. So That just gives you some sense of how hot a car can actually get when it's just sitting in the sun all day for hours and hours and hours. And in this case, it was up to 3 hours. Little boy was pronounced dead later at the hospital. And that's sad. That is just terrible. Now, I bring this up because we've talked about these kind of cases before where people say, oops, my bad, and they leave their kid in the car. And I really believe that there's some parents that don't want to be parents no more. And so they basically set their kid up to die because they don't want to be kids no more. They don't want to be parents no more. Like, being a parent is tough. Y'all know that shit is not easy. You got to make a lot of sacrifices. It is not an easy proposition at all. It's very, very difficult. I'm not saying that I believe that's what happened in this case. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that's what I believe happened in this case at all, because I don't know. And I don't want to assume anything negative. You know, in some cases, I believe that people have done it on purpose because they want to get rid of being a parent. They don't want the kid no more. In some cases, I think it's because parents are on drugs. On some cases, I think it's because, like, there's a lot of people that's functional dope addicts. They take dope every day in some way, force, or fact. It could be they smoke every day. Those are dope addicts. There's people, and again, I'm not hating on you, do what you do, but there's people, the first thing they do every morning is they smoke a blunt. First thing they do before their feet hit the bed. I mean, as soon as their feet hit the ground, there's a blunt sitting there in the ashtray right next to. They got to smoke a blunt before they even go to the restroom, before they take a shower. You know, that shit gets bad. There's people that can't eat until after they smoke because it makes their food taste better. I'm not joking with you. That shit is serious. There's people that's drinking all day, that's taking pills all day, that's on heroin. There's a lot of functional and semi-functional dope addicts in our society. I guarantee you somebody in your family or somebody you work with is a functional dope addict and you don't even know. Could be you. If so, hope you find relief, because I can only imagine that's probably a terrible existence, right? You got to take the drug, In this case, I don't know how to read this, but my question for you is, would you blame your parents? Like, when I read that story this morning, I was like, I don't know how I would feel about that. Like, I dropped my kid off over at your house, mom, dad, and you tell them about you forgot my kid, your grandkid in the car? We got a problem. I don't know if I can forgive something like that. That would be tough for me. Nat writes, I just got flagged for my test comment. Man, I was like dropped. I got kicked off Twitter, man, for about 30, 40 minutes. I tweeted something to Draymond Green and Kendrick Perkins. Draymond Green, sidebar. Draymond Green, he got a podcast. He went on his podcast and he called Kendrick Perkins a coon. I'm like, this is why you got a podcast to call another black man a coon? So I tweeted him. I was like, man, I tweeted Draymond. I'm like, man, this is why you got a podcast? I'm paraphrasing, but it was something like, you calling Kendrick Perkins a coon is coonish. This is why you got a podcast, brother? And Twitter flagged me talking about I breached their community standards. But, you know, fortunately enough, or to their credit, they also gave me the opportunity to appeal it. So I appealed it like, come on now. Y'all got, literally it read, y'all serious? Come on now. You got to keep this in context. That's exactly what I said to Twitter. And then they sent me a message overnight. I was asleep. I got this morning saying, okay, well, we read your appeal. You was right. We overreacted. Man, y'all need to stop on some of these social media networks. So I feel you, Nat. People be tripping. But back to this story. So we're talking about a little boy, 3 years old, junior, Kendrick Ingram Jr., back on Sunday, June 26th, was just what? Sunday. That was just Sunday. Just what, 5-6 days ago. His grandmother, Cassandra Thomas, She had all the kids. She had him and 7 cousins were all spending the day together. He falls asleep in the back seat of the SUV, right? And they get out the car on a hot day and forget him in the car. And the boy dies. She didn't even really remember until mom showed up. I don't know, man. I just find it hard to believe that you can forget a kid in a car. For me, I just can't see it, especially not the youngest kid, because typically, like, if you got a bunch of kids and one of them is like 3 and everybody else is older, typically what I found is you're like really keyed in on the youngest kid. Like, you really want to know where they are. Like, where are they? Where you at? Where you at? You really want to focus on where they're at because they're so young and vulnerable, right? I don't know, man. Was grandma on drugs? Was grandma, she's grandma, so is she dealing with some kind of like dementia or something? I don't know. I just find it hard to believe that a sane, rational person can forget a kid in a car on a hot day. Because to me, that's like, I just can't see it. I find it hard to believe. And I've told this story before, and this happened over at the Clifton parking lot. We went to Kroger over there. This is like the first time, and I think it was the very first time that me and the wifey took medium Buddha out when she was born. And I don't know when it was. She could have been 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. I don't remember. So it was the first time we all went out together, because it takes a while for a woman to recover from something like that. I mean, a woman giving birth is a blessing. And we need to be careful afterwards. So, I do my due diligence with the wifey. And I never forget, we got out the car and we both took a few steps. Like we were married for 5-6 years before we had a kid. So we had that married with no kid brain. We both got out the car. I remember like it was yesterday. We're walking toward Kroger. We took maybe 3-4 steps. And then we looked at each other and was like, oh, snap, Buddha, right? And we walked back to get her, and we just kind of laughed about it, like, how are we going to forget our kid? But we were so unaccustomed to it. That was like the first and only time it happened. And I only took like maybe 3 steps away from the car before I realized there's a human back there. I just don't understand how somebody on a hot day can be with a kid in the car, whether the kid is making noise or not. You get out the vehicle, leave the kid in the vehicle. I just don't see it. I find it hard to believe. But my question is, how would you feel about your grandparents? I mean, your parents. If your parents did that with your kid, how would you feel about it? Would you be able to forgive them? Do you think it would cause a wedge? It's hard to say. I know this is a tricky one. But I'm curious about what you think. What's your gut? TNT writes, I wouldn't want to live. I understand as well. But how would you feel about your parents? Would you be able to say, that's just God's will. God needed him more in heaven than I needed him down here. I mean, that is a tough one. That's a tough one. And, if you're the grandparents, I bet she feels terrible. That's probably, hey, let me have a great day. Have a great day. That's probably going to haunt the grandmother for the rest of her life, because I know if my kids had a child and I'm watching the child and because of me the kid dies, I'll never get over that. Anybody want to take a stab at it? Timothy writes, and share your thoughts. Has to be the worst nightmare for anybody. Absolutely. Lemmy writes, no grandparents get forgetful. I say it too again. That's why having children is for young people. Mika writes, no, my attitude and treatment towards her, she'll check herself out. So you wouldn't have any kind of way. Man, that's a tough one. Because it's easy to say you'll forgive until you got a reason to forgive somebody. I just don't know. I would want to say that I would have it in my heart to forgive my mom, who's now, dearly departed at this point. And I think about her all the time. But it's hard. I want to say, yeah, I would be able to deal with it as God wills. I wouldn't blame anybody, but I just don't know. Brenda writes, I'm muted. Am I muted to Brenda? It looks like everything is going on my side. We look all good. Sharp writes, people always in a rush. People are always in a rush. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. I want to make sure you can hear me this morning. Grafton writes, God forgives, I don't. Wow, that's real. TNT writes, I don't think I could. I wouldn't want to make them feel bad about our relationship, but our relationship would be strained. Yeah. Okay. Double check again, Brenda. Make sure that we're toggled on. Okay, we sounded good. Great. Yeah, that's a tough one because, believe it or not, for me, forgiveness is a hard thing. I'll be honest with you. I'll be transparent. I find it hard to forgive, and I struggle with that. And I don't know where I started that from. I find it very, very hard to forgive. I had a relative. I felt like it was like abuse. It wasn't physical abuse, but I felt like. So let me tell you the story. So when I was younger, and I'll tell this story because it is what it is. But when I was younger, my mother used to drop me off at her sister's house, my auntie, her biological sister, my auntie. And while I was with her, she was abusive toward me. And I didn't remember it until I got about 15, 16, 17, just thinking and just remembering back. And I don't remember exactly when it dawned on me, but it hit me one day like, oh, snap. Auntie abused me when I was younger. She was very abusive to me. And I don't know what that was. It could have been she had an issue with my mother, not sexually abusive or anything like that, but more like verbally abusive toward me. And when I got in my late teens, I remembered it. And I never forgave her for it. She couldn't be around me. I told everybody. And I told her to her face, you lucky I don't do something to you. I'll catch you slipping one day and catch up with you. My mother hated that. My mother, I'm telling you real family shit here, and I'm telling you for a reason. My mother hated that. I mean, to her death, I used to tell her, like, I don't want to hear nothing about your sister at all because I told you what this woman did to me, and it is what it is. Keep her away from me. And they kept her away from me because I'd have did something to her on some, oh, this is what you did to me when I was a kid. Okay, now I'm older. I'll do something back to you. Like, I live by that. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like there's some things you just shouldn't do, especially to a child. You abuse somebody, they catch up with you. That's why you hear me say that all the time. Whatever they do to you is what they do because I feel the same way. My mother hated that. She hated it. Oh, she couldn't stand that. You should try to talk around and make excuses, but I know what happened and I wasn't budging. Now, when I tell you it's hard for me to forgive, I'm talking about forever. I didn't go to her funeral when she died. And I told everybody in the family, good riddance, because I ain't like her nowhere. They couldn't stand it. But that's just how I felt about it. You know what I'm saying? So I find it very hard to forgive. I'm that kind of person. Like, so I don't know. I don't know how I will feel. You know what I'm saying? I drop my son and daughter at your house, and you my mother, you my father, you my family member, and then you not paying attention to my kid, and my kid end up dead. We probably gonna have a lifelong issue. You know what I'm saying? If I'm being honest with you, I'm probably not gonna get over that. You know what I'm saying? And depending on what you do, I might want to do something to you. And I struggle with it. That's why I always give props to the wife because that woman just gives me so much. She gives me so much balance. I'm telling you, that woman is just she balances. She cooled me out on that shit. She really, really do. But I'm not a forgiving person. I think some things shouldn't be done. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I don't do certain things. I'm just saying, I give as well as I get. You know what I'm saying? I give it. So I just feel like if you really care about somebody, it's just some things you just ain't gonna do. I'm not a big give me apologies kind of person. That don't mean nothing to me. And so if this was me, I think I would have an issue with my mother. I would have an issue with my father if through your negligence, my kid is dead. We probably ain't gonna never have the same relationship again. Is that a good thing or bad thing? It's probably not a good thing. I fully admit that I'm tragically flawed. It's probably not a good thing, but I'm being real with you. You know, I would find that real hard, because if you leave me with my kid, if you leave me with your kids, you gosh damn better believe that they're going to be emotionally taken care of, in every way, physically taken care of. You know what I'm saying? They gonna come back to you the same way that you dropped them off to me. You can believe that. Ain't nobody coming here doing nothing. I ain't gonna forget your children. I ain't doing none of that. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna keep my eyes on what's important. And so I just expect the same thing back. But you don't always get the same thing back. You know what I'm saying? I get that. But that's why I share that. So I'm answering the same question I'm asking you. More than likely, and I love Chairman Mom. She was everything to me, but this is my child. And I'm trusting you like this, my father, and I'm trusting you like this. And you sleep at the wheel or something like that, I ain't with it. Tierra writes, I hate that I'm a grudge holder. I try to work on it every day, but it's so hard because people know what they be doing. Yeah, people do know what they be doing. I'm not sure who that is. People do know what they be doing. People know what they be doing. And that's why when people do F shit, I don't really cut them no slack, because I already know that they know what they're doing. And I hate it when people try to play dumb. Like, I didn't realize. Stop it. You know what's going on. You real intelligent. Am I a grudge holder? I don't have any grudges. I mean, grudge holder. I don't forget what people do, but it's not top of mind. Like, that's not like my number one motivation, or nowhere in my top 10 motivation. I'm like, my motivation is something different. Grudge holder. I wouldn't call it a grudge holding. I would just say real is real. But I'm just being transparent with you. So I think I would have a real issue. I think I have a real issue with my mother, or any family member. We'll put it that way. Any family member, you supposed to be watching my kids and your ass sleep, or my kid dies in a car. Ooh, we probably, we're not going to be the cookouts together no more. And it's going to break up the family. I'm just going to be honest with you. It's probably going to break up the family. That's just me. Regina writes, definitely won't be the same ever. Nah, it'll never be the same. But what about you? Like, so here's a scenario again. You drop your child off at grandma's house, at your parents' house. We'll say a family member's house. And then you go to pick your kid up. The kid ain't there. That's the worst thing in the world. When I was an after-school director in a whole different life, I used to tell my staff, I used to train my staff that when parents show up and they say where their kid is, you're supposed to know. Parents do not want to hear, I don't know. That should never come out your mouth. They pop up, they're like, where my son at? I don't know. Huh? That's the best you got? Man, it would be better for you to keep your mouth closed. Parents don't want to hear that. I don't know. You need to know what happened and where their kid is. And that goes for family too. You show up to get your kid and your parent or your family member is like, I thought they're not in here? Junior. When's the last time I saw Junior? Nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to hear that. So would you hold it against your family member? And for me, I would. I think I would. I think that's maybe not the right way of looking at it, but I think I would. Jamal's in the house. He writes, good morning, Choppers. You definitely hold grudges. You've been riding me for 4 days about saying the young man should have supervision selling water. Have I been riding you about that? I think you might be right. Yeah, I think I have been writing you about that. And all the people that were saying, what I consider to be some crazy shit. I mean, I think one way of saying is writing it. I definitely have been bringing it up over and over again. So you're right. You're right, Jamal. I have been writing you. So maybe that does mean I'll hold grudges. You're right about that. Good morning to you. Crystal writes, damn right, Nathan. Miss Crystal, Kids Daycare, LLC. Is that right? Absolutely. Is that real? Is that your business? That's cool. That's a hard job, Crystal. Woo-wee. Man, The hardest shit I ever did was working with kids. It just takes so much energy out of you because you got to watch everything they're doing. It just takes so much energy. God bless the people that do that job and do it well because they put a lot of energy into it. I don't think daycare providers make enough money, quite honestly. They do not make enough money at all. That is yeoman's work. It is critical work, and they are completely underpaid. Mika writes, I live by that principle too, Nate. Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure, absolutely. Oh, daycare for over 20. Oh, well, shoot, I'm talking to the choir. You got all the experience, you know. You know, parents show up. They don't want to hear, I don't know. You know, they don't want to hear, when parents show up, they don't want to hear about all this stuff the kid did and you ain't text me and call me all day. They don't want to hear that. It's just the way you got to deal with it when you're dealing with people's kids. Jamal writes, appreciate the honesty. Oh, I have 100%. It is hard work. It is the hardest work I've ever did in my life. You know, the only thing that compares to that is like shoveling ducks that was fish out the Ohio River and cleaning them off. But those are the two hardest jobs I ever did, man. For working with kids is exhausting. It is exhausting work. If you're doing it right, you are mentally, emotionally, and physically exhausted every single day. Now, if you ain't doing it right, shit, you cutting corners, shit, ain't nothing. But if you're doing it right, you are exhausted. Absolutely exhausted in a different kind of way. Like, I've been physically exhausted, but it's different when you physically exhausted and emotionally exhausted and mentally exhausted. That's a different level of it. So I got nothing but respect for the folks who do that work and they do it right. I got nothing but respect. Regina writes, it's not a grudge, it's just an opinion. But he might be right. You know, I keep bringing it up. I can get like that. I certainly understand. I can definitely be like that. But I'm doing it for a point. She writes, I am exhausted. I already know. I already know, Crystal. You said you've been doing daycare for 20 years. You've been working hard. You've been working hard. And probably been underpaid. No doubt about it, man. I hate that. It's like we get these superstar athletes all this money for catching balls and bouncing balls and dribbling balls and hitting balls. But the people that's working with our kids, we want to underpay them. It's the craziest thing ever. It's so backwards. Our society is so backwards. What's this? I had accidentally locked my baby in the car on a hot day. The moment I locked my doors on reflex, I knew I effed up. I panicked and ran back to the BMW to ask for help. I saw my baby girl in the car seat smiling at me, but starting to sweat. You would have broke that window if you had to. Starting to sweat. I was ready to break my window. I just read that. But the officer had some tool to unlock my door and save my baby. I scooped her out so quick. I was so mad at myself for putting her in danger. Now she's an adult with her own baby. I told her the story and how she was smiling and laughing at me, panicking with no clue of the danger she was in. Glad we can laugh about it now. That's a hell of a story right there. Thank you for sharing. Oh my God. I bet you was terrified. I bet you was terrified. And then your daughter's like, oh, mommy's trying to make faces at me. You'd have broke that window. You'd have broke that window with your bare hands if you had to save your baby, wouldn't you have? I already know. Shoot, mama bear don't play. Don't get in the way between a mama bear and her baby cub. You're going to get cut. You're going to get cut up. That car didn't have a chance. That car didn't have a chance, did it, TNT? Man, you would have dismantled that motherfucker and came up through where the engine pipe is, if the engine is, if you had to. Tore that damn door off if you had to get to your baby. I already know. That's a funny story, but I'm glad it ended well. Nothing like that. I never dropped her. Never. The closest I ever came to, like I told you, was the first time we went to the grocery store. It was the first time out after the wifey gave birth to Medium Buddha. We're at Kroger up in Coreyville. She and I both get out the car and take like 3 steps, maybe 4 steps at the most, away from the car. And then we both looked at each other and laughed and went back and got her. And she was in her little stroller because we was married 5-6 years with no kids. You know what I'm saying? We big kids ourselves. We big kid roommates doing whatever we want to do. We wouldn't think about nothing else. We jump out the car like it's nothing. But, you know, that was the first and last time. Crystal writes, I've climbed through the window before. You're going to do whatever it is. She writes, it's making me cry thinking about it. I can only imagine. Janice writes, so blessed, so happy I was blessed to be a stay-at-home mom. I never trusted anyone with my small babies and children. Yeah, Yeah, I get it. Like I said, my son is in CRC right now. I'm terrified all day. You know, it may not seem like it. I'm able to do business and work out and go about my day, but there's an underlying panic, right, that goes on in my heart until I see him, right? You know what I'm talking about. That's what ages you as a parent. You worried about them. You worried about them, man. But, you know, it is what it is. Good morning to you. Let me throw my number up to the ether if you want to share your thoughts this morning, 513-873-7134. I'm about at my end. I want to remind you that today's show is brought to you in part by our friends over at Wing Champ, the undisputed champion of all wings. You can call ahead for pickup and delivery today, and they'll be looking forward to your phone call. Hey, if you stop out, tell them you heard about the Nathan Ivey Show. That goes a long way. That goes a long way to our partners to let them know that our audience not only receives the message, but responds to the message. That means a whole lot. You know, perhaps go over to Mahogany's Facebook page, or I'm sorry, Wing Chan's Facebook page, and say, look, I heard, you know, Nate talking about you. It goes a long way. Goes a long way. You can also pick up your Creamalicious brand ice cream as well. And they are Black owned. Now, what I would suggest you do is click or copy and paste the link in the description and go straight to their website today and check out the menu first. That's what I say. That's what I do. Check out the menu and see if there's something that you might like. All right. Who knows? We might even do a live broadcast out there real soon. All right. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. Hey, listen, my friends, that's the end of what I have planned to talk with you this morning. Have an excellent day. We rock for 2.5 hours. Have an excellent rest of your day. Regina writes, the worry never stops. I know. Because now Medium Boot is 16. I'm looking at her and I'm like, OMG, I ain't ready. I ain't ready for this girl to leave and go do her own thing and be grown. I'm not ready for that. I'm going to be a wreck. Worried to death, but it is what it is. See, now I know how my parents felt about me. But listen, my friends, have an excellent rest of your day. Right? Remember our motto. I haven't said it in a minute. Winners focus on winning, and losers focus on winners. So stay focused and stay winning, and we'll talk real soon. Until next time, I'm Nate Ivey, and I'm out.
Talking to my mirror like I love you so much. Curving on my critics like I hurt you so what? You can kill my confidence, I think I'm the man. Tally all the I ever gave on my head. Lately I've been living like I can't take a loss. They ain't wanna help me, it's so many loss. You can kill my confidence, I think I'm the man. We don't give a fuck, that's what they don't understand. I'm in like school season, I'm broke, right? That's why I'm sleeping, I'm coming down, my roof leaving, don't give a fuck, I don't care. Did it for my long son, no wonder now I'm on one, no shortcuts on that long run. All I really want is my share.